Hi, my name's Tina Sullivan, and I am conducting an interview with Miss M on what it was like caring for a loved one that was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So, Miss M, thank you so much for answering my questions and enlightening us on what it was like to care for someone that was diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's.
You're welcome.
And so, one of the first questions I'd like to ask is, can you tell us what some of the early symptoms or signs you noticed with your mother?
My mother and I went on a trip, and I noticed we stayed together in the hotel room, and I noticed they had a clock that was provided by the hotel room, an electric clock, and she kept asking me, "Is that your clock or is it the hotel's clock?" 5 minutes later or less, "Is that your clock or is it the hotel's clock? Is that your clock or is it the hotel's clock?" She did that during the entire trip.
Okay.
And some other odd things similar to that.
Okay. So, what made you decide to get her tested?
Well, my mother actually became a missing person. She was supposed to be at a nail salon, and she ended up in another state, it was close. She lived close to the border of another state, but she never came home, and the police had to find her. And at that time, I just said, enough is enough. You're going to have to come and live with me.
Wow.
And that was a challenge. It is amazing, and you do have to deal with who will be there for you and who won't. And just like her car was a challenge. After that incident, she had also sped away from the police after they had pulled her over. And so the first thing that I really felt I needed to do was to not let her have access to the car. She had copies of keys that she, had that I might not have known where they were. So I called a friend to see if we could park the car over there, and he said, absolutely not. Someone could report that. She could report that car stolen. And so it took me about 2 days to find someone who was willing to have enough understanding of what we were going through to let me leave the car at their house just to get it away from her so she wouldn't go, quite frankly, tearing out in it.
So that was when you decided to get her tested?
Soon after that,
Okay.
I had a friend, and her brother was a neurologist, and we went to him, and he conducted testing, and he sat down and talked to me and said that she had classic Alzheimer's symptoms, and that that I needed to put her somewhere and consider that. And I really didn't want to. My mother had always said that she didn't want to be in a nursing home, and always teased me that I'd have to take care of her, and I always said I would. And so I really wanted to honor that request. I remember he just told me that I would not be able to continue to honor that request. It would be too much trouble, too much difficulty, and I decided I just was going to honor that request, no matter.
So what was it like when y'all found out what the diagnosis was?
What was it like? At that point, I really wasn't surprised about what the diagnosis was. I quite frankly wasn't very surprised at all.
Okay. And can you tell me what a typical day was caring for your mother?
Well, I can say there really is no typical day because, one morning I might go to a lot of effort to get a shirt that she wanted on, and then realize that she's put 2 more shirts on. And so then I have to worry about, taking all the shirts out of the drawers because I don't want her to be too hot. And so I might go put them in another room, and then the next day it might be her hair. We might have an issue. And so it can change, there really is no typical day. And instead of a day, it could be a 48-hour situation.
So there's not a typical day in
Yes.
caring. It's, wow, okay. So I guess you never know what to expect.
Right.
And, okay, you just,
You think you do, but then something new happens.
okay. What was the most challenging thing for you while caring for your mother?
The most challenging thing for me, I know that, when she first lived with me, and for quite a while, I would still take her everywhere I went. I went to the grocery store, whatever. And long after I probably should have, I continued to take her to stores as she became more and more disinhibited and said what was on her mind. And she would say quite loudly, "Look at the ASS on that one." And these people would turn around and I would kind of get behind her and mouth Alzheimer's. And it was a challenge, and some of the things that she would say to the neighbors and some of her actions, I can say were more than challenging, but there was a time that as her disease progressed that I missed the days and grieved the days when she made these outrageous comments. And it was so not like my mother to make outrageous comments. She was very ladylike, and she was a lovely person, and it wasn't like her, but I grieved that part of her that came out with those comments.
Were
and
your
of that
neighbors,
behavior.
were your neighbors understanding of her having Alzheimer's?
I think, anybody that knew us gained understanding of the situation.
Okay. Good. Would you mind sharing any special moments or any therapies that you used with her?
Well, I will say that music was a very good tool, that she could remember the words to songs and clap and sing along with me. I ended up buying a karaoke machine, and it was just a joke that it was time for our music. And I would just sing like a kid, and didn't matter if I was off tune, and she would sing with me, and we sang the karaoke, we sang the different things. That was special. And I also bought some old CDs. I bought all of the old Dean Martin shows and some of the old Hazel shows, and she seemed to really respond to some of those shows, so that was a good thing.
So she responded to some of the older music that she was familiar with?
The older music, and music is something that, she may not be expressing her words, but she could remember those tunes.
Wow, that's very interesting. Thank you. Was your mother on any medications?
She was on the classic Alzheimer's medications like Aricept, and several others. I felt like I did see some improvement, but over time, her doctor, after discussing it with her doctor, we just decided, that she would go off the medication.
Okay. Were there certain techniques that you used to help orient her?
I think the most important thing is that you have to stay very calm and never act like you're in a hurry. If you become anxious, an Alzheimer's person become anxious. I should not speak for everyone, but my mother became very anxious, and so if I was hurried, then she was hurried, and then she put herself into a state of, oh my gosh, what's happening, So my attitude was very important with her.
I can see that. And that just goes to show how the little things that we do affect those around us. And they're very sensitive to the people around them. So, interesting. Can you describe how caring for your mother presented challenges in your life?
Well, I consider taking care of my mother as a higher purpose. Like I say, she always said, "You're going to have to take care of me," and I said I would. And so there just was never a question that I was going to do it as long as I was physically able. So it wasn't a challenge, it was a higher purpose, and it was a privilege.
Miss M, that's the nicest thing, and I've known you for quite a while, and I've known you for quite a while, and we've had discussions many mornings on different challenges that you had, and I always thought how wonderful of a daughter you were to take care of your mother. So thank you. I have one more question. Do you have any recommendations or suggestions for someone taking care of a loved one with Alzheimer's?
I would just have to say you have to do what is right for you and your family. You may want to be able to keep your parent with you, and but it may be that it's such a burden on your teenagers if they walk into the room and go through their things, and you have to do what is right for you, what you can do, and accept what you can't do, and you have to think about everyone involved in your household. But you just have to do what is right for you. There is no right or wrong to this question. You do what you can do.
Well, Miss M, thank you so much for sharing your story with me, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.